morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Good.
I appreciate the opportunity to be with you this morning to share a little bit of information that I know can support you here at Acme Real Estate to increase your business. Preferably sales, making more money, and whatnot. I'm Tim Chedester with Balance Effect LLC. And before we get started, I want to share a little story with you. Years ago, I had an opportunity to work with a real estate agent when I bought my first home. It's kind of a fun story, so if you can bear with me for a moment. We went around, saw a lot of houses, he identified some things that I needed, that I wanted, and went to a lot of different places. There was a lot of showings. And one house in particular, we had an opportunity to walk through this house. And as it turned out, something was amiss. There was something funny about this place, because as we walked in, we were looking around the house. The husband and the wife were sitting in their lazy boys, watching TV, and every now and then, we would make eye contact, and they would look at me like I was some sort of an alien. It seemed rather odd. We get back out to the car afterwards, and my real estate agent picks up the MLS sheet and starts laughing. And I asked him why. Why are you laughing? He says, you understand why it was so odd, right? And I go, no. He says, because the house is already sold. Now, don't pick on my real estate agent. It wasn't that he did anything wrong. The fact is that he took the time to get in a relationship with me. And during that time, he spent so much time getting in a relationship with me that he overlooked something that was important, a critical piece of the pie, or a critical piece of the information that he was going to use to support me in buying a home. He was focused more on my relationship and his relationship because he understood that I was a relationship person, as opposed to a data person, and that's how we missed the data end of this particular situation. So it's just to show you a little bit how it can go when you do and when you don't pay attention to some identifiers and relationship clues. This is a brief synopsis of what I will be sharing with you today. For the sake of time, we won't have a lot of time. I've only got about 10 minutes, so I want to be brief. This is what I will be sharing with you. I'm going to talk a little bit about identifiers, like I mentioned, with some identifiers that support the understanding of the motivations of the buyers and the sellers. It's important to understand that, and we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll also talk a little bit about values and motivations. Values and motivations are anchors that we all have within us that support us in our motivations. And these will be, those will be our anchors, and then we have behaviors that extend out or come as a result of our motivations. We'll talk a little bit about how the actual trainings work. And then I'm going to take a couple of questions, and then I will conclude. Clues. Why clues? Have you ever had a situation where you've dealt with a client and for whatever reason you're just not able to take them to the right house? And it seems like it takes a long period of time to actually find the right house or support the client finding the right house, or even the seller is not clear about what they want to do, how much they want to sell their house for. There seems to be a breakdown in communication. Well, clues are something that you can use to enhance and accelerate the buying and selling process for your client. It builds rapport as a result of understanding the buyers and the sellers' motivations. It increases the receptiveness and reduces resistance to things like price, quality, loan amount, funding, etc. Let's stop and think about that for a second. Once you feel like you can trust someone, that you build a relationship with someone, doesn't the guard tend to come down a little bit? You tend to be a little more open, a little bit more receptive to what is possible. Maybe the loan amount that you were thinking of, maybe you're open to raising the loan amount just a little bit as a result of that receptiveness or building that rapport with the client, or as a client, you feel that way that you can do that. Clues that establish the buyer's motivations that support the completion of business in an accelerated fashion. Understanding a client's motivations in a way that supports them in wanting to buy. If you can get to that point, understand the motivations and the behaviors that are behind that, how is that going to support you in accelerating the business completion in such a way that you can move on to the next client? Because after all, we're all here for one thing, or two things. We want to support the client, and we're here to make money. support the agent to ask more pertinent questions, improve the customer satisfaction, and creates a space for a partnership with the buyer or the seller. Again, it's all about trust and rapport. This is actually getting into the theory, relationship awareness theory. Behaviors and tools used to get some result or confirm our sense of self-worth. These tools are also used to ward off things that we don't want. Motives come with our wish to feel a strong sense of self-worth. Is that not true? We all want to feel a sense of self-worth, a strong sense of self-worth, a positive sense of self-worth. Well, there's something that's driving that. So what is it? Eating, working. So I have a question, anyone. Just throw it out. Why do you eat? What are the reasons that you might eat? Anybody?
Because I'm hungry.
Okay, what else?
To live.
To live. What else?
Because it tastes good.
Okay, what else?
Social.
Comfort. I heard comfort over here. Anything else?
Social.
Social? Okay. So can you understand that there's something that we take for granted, that's something that we think would be so simple? Everybody has a different reason for doing it. Even something like you would take for granted is eating. Why do we work? Anybody?
For money.
What else?
Lifestyle.
Okay, what else?
Sense of self-worth.
Self-worth, what makes you feel better? Like at the end of the day, you sit back and accomplishment. Okay, great. What else?
Food. Support the family.
Support the family. Motivations.
You need food.
Right. Things that are important to us, and everyone is different. And that's what relationship awareness theory is about. It deals and dives into the motivations that drive the behaviors. What are our individual motivations that drive the behavior that causes us to eat, to work, to play, to love? Make sense? This is the proposal for training that I would bring to Acme Real Estate. What would happen first is I would come in for probably 2 to 3 hours, an hour at a time, and I would explain to all of the real estate agents here at Acme Real Estate how the whole process would work, how it would take place. I would give some explanations. I would explain the process to them. And then at that point, I would have them all sign up for individual sessions. Now, I do understand that because real estate agents need to be flexible because they have to be available for their clients. Therefore, as it looks, we would have to move them around a little bit, but I could be flexible with that as well. I'll explain that to them. We would sign up for the actual assessment that would be taken online. After that was completed, then I would have an opportunity to compile all of the information. Once that information was compiled, then I would schedule a training with management within 1 week of the results, preferably within 1 week of the results. I would start my first training. I would make some recommendations, 48 hours of training, whichever you decided you'd want. I would make some recommendations based on my results, whether or not you would want. There's certain phases and factors and certain parts of the training that I could take out and others that I could put into it in such a way that we could customize it for Acme Real Estate. Complete the training, and then a 1 hour follow-up would probably be like 3 follow-ups individually, so that I could make sure that I hit all the members, all of the real estate agents, so I could get to all the real estate agents within 60 days, and then that would be an opportunity for us to go over some issues and circumstances and whatnot. That would be the training. Any questions?
Well,
Yes.
Tim, this sounds a little bit like DISC. Are they the same? Because this theory sounds like they are.
Well, they're kind of the same and they're kind of different. Now, I don't know if someone familiar with a DISC. A DISC actually utilizes 4 different behavior styles. Now, the SDI, Strength Deployment Inventory, Relationship Awareness, actually deals with 7, and we're talking about the DISC, which deals primarily in behaviors, and the SDI, which deals in motivations along with behaviors, and then also dives into self-worth, strengths overdone, strengths, weaknesses, or actually not weaknesses. Weaknesses are now strengths overdone, which is a little different. So it really expands more on and in the motivation and behavior, but it utilizes the behavior in order to explain the motivations. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a question or series of questions I can ask that can help me to identify a behavior style or motivation?
That's a great question. I would say the first thing that you need to do is you want to find out whether or not they're a thinker or a feeler. That will help you out a long way. It doesn't really delineate an actual behavior style, however, it does tend to support you in understanding the basic motivation of an individual. If you're dealing with somebody that's a thinker, you're going to be, or you're not going to want to be dealing, you're not going to want to ask questions, or you're not going to want to raise information or give them information if they're a thinker that has to do with touchy-feely things, like how do you feel, what's important to you, relationships, do you want a house with really nice colors, things of that nature. And conversely, when you're a relationship person, you don't want to have to deal with data. But a data person is going to tell you whether or not they want you to focus on funding, cost of the house, whatnot, escrow, those kinds of things, general information. So I would say what you want to do is you want to focus on finding out whether or not they're a thinker or a feeler. Ask a question, a general question, and then let them tell you, answer in such a way that you're listening for either how they think or how they feel. And then generally they will tell you. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. I've had a big time to be with you today. Thank you so much. I appreciate your attention, and I look forward to getting back with you very soon. Thank you.